Emozioni di guida, fun to drive. This was the key target developing the 296 GTB. People state it's not possible to measure and to design fun to drive. But this is not the truth. The truth is we can. So what are the three ingredients to solve this secret? First, sound. Second, perceived acceleration. And third, go-kart feeling. So, let's try. The first point is the sound. The sound has to follow two principles. One is that with the acceleration and higher revs, the volume has to increase. And the second point is that not only the volume, but also the quality of the sound has to change. With low revs, we have low frequencies, and with high revs, we have high frequencies. And this gives this typical Ferrari sound. We call it music because this is really a very, very emotional element of driving a Ferrari. But now, let's try to make an acceleration and listen to the sound of the 296 GTB. How was this? We worked a lot on the engine architecture, on the combustion and on the exhaust system to create this magnificent sound. The second element is perceived acceleration. Not acceleration like 0 to 100, and you can measure it. This is what you can feel in your stomach, in your body, if you put the pedal to the metal. And obviously the core for that is the powertrain. The core of this powertrain is a V6 with a 120-degree hot V layout, which allowed us to achieve an extremely compact body and introduce an electric engine without compromising the dimensions of the car. This engine has 2.9 liters displacement, 663 horsepower, and this leads us to the best automotive specific power output, 221 horsepower per liter. This is world record without turbo lag. We combine this V6 engine with an electric motor, and in total we have on this car 830 horsepower. And the powertrain is completed by an 8-speed double-clutch transmission gearbox, which has the fastest gear changes in the market. The electric motor is powered by a battery with the best specific power-weight ratio in the automotive industry, and this allows us to have a 25-kilometer electric range. The third element for fun to drive is the go-kart feeling. That means that every command of the driver has to lead to a direct, immediate reaction of the car. We have three elements worked on this car, which was first the weight. So reduce the weight as much as we can. And we reached 1.77 kilogram per horsepower. The second element is inertia. The wheelbase is 50 millimeters shorter than on the F8. This leads to less inertia and more agility of the car. And the third element, and here we have a world premiere, is a new sensor with 6 sensors, which allows us to control better the car and to develop a new ABS EVO system. This reduces the brake distance by almost 10%, but obviously a Ferrari can't be only fun to drive. To give you only two numbers, from 0 to 100 in 2.9 seconds and from 0 to 200 in 7.3 seconds. You see, best-in-class performance with absolute fun to drive.
Hey, listen, what do you hear? The roar of an engine? Or the outrageous scream of someone breaking the rules? Are these scissor doors? Or a definitive break with the past? And what about this? A headlamp showing the way? Or an invitation to open your eyes and be bold? And this is a line drawn by pencil, right? No, it's more than that. It's what we call the Countach line. And it marked the end of the sports car to become the first supercar. And now, what do you see? Just a picture on a calendar? A poster on 100, 1,000, a million walls? Oh, believe me, it's far more than that. It's our collective imagination, the most inaccessible place in the world. Here, only true icons have the power to enter and to change who we are, forever. Today, 50 years since its first unforgettable unveiling, we turn back to look at it again. And what we see is our future. The new Lamborghini Countach. Future is our legacy.
Buongiorno and welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Lamborghini. It's good to be back in the US. It's good to be back at the Quail Lodge. And for sure it's good for me to be back at Lamborghini. You know, my heart is very close, thank you, very close to this company, to this brand. Because it's brave, authentic, and it's really unexpected all the time. We have a proud history in Lamborghini, and in fact, in the year 1971, so 50 years ago, there was the launch of the Countach. And it was a car which was a game changer, but not only for Lamborghini, also for the entire automotive super sports car industry. But before I go ahead, let's do the unveiling of the car. So I'm asking Mr. Reggiani, is our Chief Technical Officer, and Mitja Borkert, our Chief Designer, to do the job. Cool car. So ladies and gentlemen, the all-new Lamborghini Countach. But why have we done a modern interpretation of the Lamborghini Countach? There are two main reasons. One is, let's say, the design elements, and the second one is the layout. If I start with the design, there are two things which are very important for Lamborghini since the Countach was launched 50 years ago. So the first is the silhouette line, how we call it. And the silhouette line is a long, dense line which is going from the top of the car until the end of the car without a bend. And this is something which is very typical. Then the second one, if you look at the car from the front, It has the typical wide or large shoulders of the super sports cars, and unlike other super sports car manufacturers which have bubbles as greenhouses, this one is very square. So you have horizontal lines, and this makes Lamborghini very recognizable until today. So even if you might not know what Lamborghini is in front of you, you can immediately recognize that it cannot be nothing else than a Lamborghini. Then the second thing is the layout. Since the Countach, the engine is put in a longitudinal way in the back of the car, so the cabin moved forward, and so this is the typical layout of the modern super sports cars. And then for the first time with the Countach, we had the scissor doors, and from then onwards, all our cars, all our V12 cars, are made with scissor doors. So this is, in a nutshell, why we are doing it. Then the name, the full name of this car is Lamborghini Countach LPI 800 and -4. Countach is not the name of a fighting bull. I think most of you know, but let me explain. So it's an expression of an Italian dialect. It's standing for wow or beautiful, some surprise, positive surprise. And so it stuck to the car, and this is why it was named Countach. LPI is standing for longitudinale posteriore ibrida. So longitudinale posteriore is the position of the engine, so longitudinal in the back of the car. And ibrida is standing for hybrid. We have a supercapacitor, which is attached to the gearbox, which is delivering 3 times more power than a normal battery. And you know, the original internal number of the project for the Countach was 112. So this is the reason why we are going to produce this car only 112 times. And guess what? They are all sold. So it's very positive for us and for the brand that these cars are all sold.